Hey everybody, what's up? How's it going? I hope your week's shaping up good. If you're new, welcome. We've gotten tons of new subscribers lately, and I'll tell you all how in 1 second. But first, I want to tell you about today's episode. Today's guest is a serial entrepreneur. This guy was in real estate, and now he's an investor, he's an advisor, and he founded or co-founded an adventure travel group, and he is his latest passion project is a conference called One Life Fully Lived. So the first part of this interview, we talk about we get into some mindset issues, and how he kind of really did what he did, or did how he was able. From a mindset perspective, to retire at 40 and hit the slopes. The guy loves to ski. He's a mountain guy, mountain dog, good guy. So that's what the episode's about. Stick all the way through it. I'd appreciate it. And I will tell you that the audio is not great in this thing. We tried calling his cell phone. We tried calling his landline. We just weren't getting good audio. So I apologize, and just bear with us on that and listen to this whole thing. I think you will find value in it. Secondarily, I want to share one thing with you. Our last episode, I explained that, we encourage you guys. We have a landing page where you can sign up and get on our list, and we share stuff with you. We have a few different ways to trade something of value for your email, right? It's called list building. And I always say that your list is your most valuable spoke in your business. And most agents, most businesses don't put a real emphasis on list building. So anyhow, I didn't think we were communicating with our list well enough. So I sat down as a copywriter. I sat down and I crafted a 7-part email series. So when you sign up, right, and it's all done through an autoresponder. So if you don't have an autoresponder, go get one. I use Aweber, but we put this on our list. This autoresponder series, and some amazing things have happened. Number one, I wanted to put that list, that series together to increase engagement between you guys and us out here. And it certainly has done that. We're getting crazy amounts of engagement, which is great. And I'm trying to respond to everybody. So if you sent me an email, just bear with me. I'll get to it. So engagement has gone through the roof. But you know what else has gone through the roof? New subscribers, new registrants. And I don't know how or why, but it has been insane. Literally, like as soon as we put and made all that series live, all of a sudden we started getting a ton more registrations, and then a ton more registrations took us on iTunes. We went from like a 105 ranking to a number 32 ranking in the world for business, which is crazy town. Anyhow, I just wanted to share that with you because I want you to think about how can you use the same method in your business. All right. Hey, let's get to it. I hope you enjoy the show. Wait, one last thing. We made some changes to the site. I would like, if you haven't gone to the site in the last couple days, go to superagentslive.com and check out the Grow Your Business tab. We just realized that it was not optimized for mobile. It is now optimized for mobile. You can see some of the things, some of the ways that we can help you grow your business. All right, now let's get to it. Welcome to Super Agents Live. This is the one place where you can come and hear the most successful people in real estate. You'll hear how these super agents built their businesses, how they stay productive, and how they stay motivated. Who am I? My name's Toby Salgado, and I made my first $1 million in real estate. Yeah. And I'm your host for the next 30 minutes while we talk to yet another amazing real estate entrepreneur. Stay tuned.
Let's go! Yeah!
Oh, hey, today's guest is a guy I've had on before. He's a buddy of mine. He is a serial entrepreneur. This guy retired like at 40, and now all he does is play. But today we're going to talk about, we'll talk about some of what he did and how he got to where he's at today. But we're going to talk about his passion project, which is One Life Fully Lived. And look, I'll tell you, most of these guys, they go out, guys like today's guest go out, they build some wealth, and then they turn their attention to helping others get to where they're at. I'm thrilled to welcome Tim Rhode. Hey, Tim, thanks for taking the time.
Thanks for having me on, Toby. I really appreciate it, and hope I can add some good value to to your listeners.
Yeah, of course, of course. Look, for those people who don't know who Tim Rhode is, take a minute, just give people a little overview, background of where you've been.
Okay, I'll give the 2-minute Reader's Digest version. So I was a kid in the back of your class throwing spitwads at you, not paying any attention, looking out at the mountains all around me and just wishing I was playing, wishing I was anywhere except in that school class, high school, junior high, which subsequently I was a late bloomer in life. I barely graduated high school. I never went to college, and at 25, I was painting addresses on people's curbs, working part-time as a grocery clerk. And the reason I was painting addresses is that was how I was buying diaper and formula money for my then small children. Then I found my niche selling real estate at 25. I sold 3 homes my first weekend. I sold 2,500 homes over 18 years. What I think I did differently is while my income went up from 35 grand as a grocery clerk up to, let's say, 300 grand selling real estate, instead of increasing my expenses up to 295 like many do, my expenses stayed very low. I watched what was coming in, what was going out, what was left to invest. I invested very wisely, learned all I could about investing, and subsequently was able to retire by the time I was 40 with enough passive income coming in to pay for the rest of my life. I was a ski bum from 40 to 50, and I started One Life Fully Lived, and was one of the founders of a adventure travel mastermind group you may have heard of called GoBundance. So now all I do is play. I call it getting the goods in the woods, run my nonprofit One Life Fully Lived, help Mike McCarthy and our team run GoBundance, and take care of my family, and do a little investing on the side. Boom!
So hold on, I want to go back a little bit to you're 25 years old, right? You're struggling, painting numbers, house numbers on a curb, and you're stocking the grocery store shelves. Then you find real estate. Now, what was it that mindset-wise, Tim, that allowed you to keep your expenses low instead of living it up a little bit? Was it fear? Like what? There's something very specific that you and your wife lived or viewpoint that you had to say, look, let's not go buy a Porsche, right? Let's not. What was that thing?
It was I did things backwards. Rather than most just go out and spend their money, I forced myself to build wealth. And what I would do, and I don't know that I recommend this for people because there's a thing called risk tolerance, and I have a very, very high risk tolerance. And back in the day, it was off the charts. I would go write a escrow to buy a property with no money in the bank. And I'd write a 120-day escrow and say, all right, mofo, show me what you got. And I'd go out and make not only enough to cover our expenses, but enough, let's say I had to put down $30,000 on a down payment on the house. So I'd just bust my butt, and I'd come up with $26,312 of the $30,000, and then I'd have to go out and raise the $3,684, and I put that on a credit card. So I'd go out and make most of the money, put the extra on a credit card, buy a rental, eat mac and cheese for the next 6 months while we put on a new roof and did the things, put in the new carpets, painted it, probably put that on a credit card too. And then I'd work really hard. Over the next 6 months, I'd pay off the credit card. I'd get myself up to the baseline. And when everything was just going well again, I'd go put another house in escrow. So I never had any money. And the whole time I was just starting out, everything went right back into building our future. And think of what I'm saying. Most people say, well, I just put money into my business. I'm just going to build my business. We did that. We put money into, marketing for a real estate business. But I always siphoned money off for passive investments, or as we call them in GoBundance, horizontal investments. And I don't know why. You asked about mindset, Toby. I couldn't tell you why I was so laser focused on financial freedom, But from 25 to 40, my thought process was, I'm working my ass off. I'm going to get somewhere. I'm not doing this for nothing. I'm not doing this for another latte at Starbucks or to have the premium cable. I'm doing this because someday I'm not going to do this anymore.
Jeez, man. Yes, that's great. That's a great story. And you know, back when you were building passive income, right? That was not a thing back then. Today, that's a thing, right? Today, that, you know, a lot of people are familiar with that term, and a lot of people are angling for it. But that was not a thing, you know, back in, you know, the 70s, 80s, 90s, right? Those were, especially the 80s, right? That's all about consumption. There's something that you had in you, though, Tim, that allowed you to think that way, and I want to try to get to it. Was it? Look, I'll tell you this. So I've lived my life much the same way, right? I bought $1 million house when I could have bought a $3 million house. Now, could I have lived in a $300,000 house? Yeah, probably. But my risk tolerance and the belief in myself is, you know, I knew that I could do it, right? So number one, why didn't you, instead of keeping your expenses at $35,000, why didn't you ratchet it up to $65,000? Because you know you could have done the same thing, right? You know that if you put a goal of, I need to make $25,000, $50,000 to buy this rental, you could have leveled up and still done the same thing. And I'll tell you this. So the reason why I kept my expenses relatively low was, you know, I've always had this fear, right? I've always had this fear. I'm like, I know I'm making money today. I know we can do it, but you know, it's not going to last forever. And I've always been kind of running scared until the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. So is it a mindset, or what was driving you to live the way that you did?
First of all, I'd like to describe the mindset.
Okay.
I called it defense wins championships.
Got it.
That was my mindset. And it wasn't, you know, I think it was Kiyosaki who coined it's not what you make, but what you do with what you make that'll make you a fortune in the long run. And maybe that was Jim Rohn. It was one of those two. But first of all, and one piece of this I forgot, is I also spent a lot of money on my continuing education. I never went to college, never learned, you know, all the regular stuff. I got a $1 million education from Jim Rohn, from Zig Ziglar, from Tony Robbins, from Dr. Fred Gross. These were some of my mentors that taught me on mindset and sales and stuff like that. So I did spend money on my continuing education, if you will. I also shadowed some of the top agents in the country, went to Mike Ferry stuff, went to Howard Brinton stuff. So did a lot of the things that helped me master my trade. But the key to what I did, I admittedly, was the defense wins championships mentality. And by the way, my expenses did go up to $65,000. But what they didn't do was go up to $300,000. A couple stories here, Toby. I coached 2 different people. One of them made $1 million a year for 15 years and had nothing to show for it by the time I coached them. That was story number one, because they spent $995 every year. Another person was making somewhere around $800,000 a year when I coached them, and this was their quote: "I spend somewhere between $700,000 and $1.2 million a year. I'm not sure how much." And that's the opposite. Both of those stories are the opposites of what my mindset was. What mine was: A, defense wins championships. B, what you measure, you can manage. And what do I mean by that? If you've read the book, The E-Myth, there's the business of your business. I'm talking about the business of your life. And this is knowing what's coming in from all sources, what's going out, what's it cost me a month to live, and what's left over for far too many debt reduction and for precious few to invest. I got a question for you, Toby.
Yeah.
We both met thousands of people in this industry, correct?
Yep.
What percentage are financially free?
Oh my God. I would say less than 5. Less than 5%.
Yeah.
Most people will, again, if you make $300,000, $500,000, $1 million, whatever, most people will spend that amount, and it's insane, right? Like why they do that. And when I talk to some of these people, they will some of them put no thought into it, like you have expressed. Some people will have put some thought into it, but they will excuse it, or I'm not sure what the right word is. And they'll say, well, listen, I'm targeting luxury, so that means that I have to live luxury, right? That's why I have, a Porsche 911 or a BMW 728. That's why I spend $1,000 on suits, because I have to exude that. And I can understand, I think that's an excuse. I hear it, rationalization. That's the word I was looking for. So yeah, so I would say less than 5%, and very few people. And look, some of these people, I mean, I've been to a bunch of those Go Abundance events, and some of these people you and I know. And I'm thinking of one guy in particular where, he lives in a town where, he is one of two people who drives, has a Porsche Panamera. And every couple of years he levels up, and I'm like, oh, you that guy? You want the latest? And he's like, yeah, I'm that guy. I'm like, oh my God, you're not building wealth, man. You are siphoning off living for today.
I got an 8-year-old Subaru Tribeca in my garage. I just don't care. And by the way, I also live in a 3-story castle with an elevator built into a mountain now. But back in the day, I lived in $70,000 houses and traded sideways for like 5 years, and just slowly but surely built wealth over time. One other thing I hear that I just want to touch on, Toby, is, well, I put all of my money back into my business. And I heard that one a lot in the 80s and the 90s. And in, I think it was 2006, 2007, I was doing a tour with Pat Hyben selling his book, Six Steps to Seven Figures. We were at a KW convention, and I saw a lot of my old friends from the 80s and 90s, because I'd been a ski bum. And I came and helped Pat with this project. And I saw my old friends, and I said, dude, how's it going? And lady, what's going on? I haven't seen you in years. And almost every single one of them looked like they saw a ghost. They had been wiped out by the downturn.
Yeah.
And what happened is they spent all this time building up their business and putting all their money back into the business and not siphoning some into appreciating assets. And so when the downturn came and their business got, taken down many pegs, they were also taken down. And anybody listening to this, I hope you're hearing some of the key concepts I'm talking about. Number one, measure what's coming in. Number two, defense wins championships. Number three, siphon profits off into appreciating assets that pay for themselves. So if the market changes, there's no skin off your back. If you have a tenant covering your rent, you're golden.
Yeah. No, I look, I know a lot of those guys too, where, when in the go-go days, right, they went out and they bought this building and they were like, I'll buy this building, I'll put my office in it. The downturn comes and they're sitting on, so a lot of these people are sitting on some real cash, but they just couldn't get out of their own way. And they just kept funding this behemoth, right? They weren't adapting to the current market environments. And, they find themselves 4 or 5 years later, they had to sell their building, and now they're rebuilding a team still working in a building that they used to own, right? But now they used to have the corner office, and now they have a cubicle. It's crazy. So let me ask you one other question, right? And this maybe is a mindset thing. We have a friend in common, David Osborne, and David is the $100 million man, right? He's going to get there. And him and I had a conversation, and I think before he set his sights on, he's like, I'm going to make $1 billion. And I don't know where he's at today in terms of what he's focusing on. But for you, you had a very successful business. You chose to retire at 40. Why didn't you push it out another 10 years and go, I'm going to add another 10 or 15, $20 million to my net worth?
A couple things. First of all, I want to back up a bit.
Okay.
For anybody who's listening to this, and you did get beaten up in the last downturn, and you are struggling, just to pay your bills right now, please don't think we're picking on you. But we just want to make you very aware of a different way of going about it. So I hope you're not taking any offense to this. I hope you're taking it constructively. It's said with love, okay? And I've just seen too many people work their butts off for decades and not get anywhere. And that's not, and my wish is the opposite. I'm looking out at beautiful mountains I'll be skiing in a few months, and knowing I get to choose to do that if that's what I want to do on that particular day. And that brings me to the second part of your question. Why in the heck? I love Osborne dearly, but the first month we ever met each other, we joked with each other. My outcome in life is A, love my family, B, get the goods in the woods, C, change the culture in America and the world to make it cool to care about your life. And that's through our nonprofit One Life Fully Lived. So I just always had faith in myself that I can go out and make a bunch of money on automatic pilot, if you will. I've got that piece down so well that I don't really even pay attention to it. And when I say that, I mean on a daily basis. It's like, as a matter of fact, I just named the 3 things that I'm really into, and if you notice, that wasn't one of them. Making money is probably 4th or 5th in my world, but it's certainly not in the top 3. And David, that's a big piece of his game. His game is how much money can I make? How much can I accumulate? And he loves that game, and he's awesome at it. And don't get me wrong, he's got a big heart. There's a lot of other things he does. He's very generous with One Life. He's a great husband and father. But his MO, if you will, is to be a billionaire someday. And that certainly isn't on my list. I don't even, whatever on the money side, that's just a piece of the whole picture.
Yeah.
My thing is how many lives can I help change? What a great father and husband can I be, a good friend to those in my world, and how much good things can we do through One Life Fully Lived.
Right.
So so to answer your question, it's just a difference in priorities, and everybody listening to this right now is probably placing themselves, well, I can get some of that and some of this, but my number one priority is, what is it for you?
Yeah, and right, and so what you're touching on, and by the way, for everybody listening, this audio is terrible, so I appreciate guys slugging through it and stick with it because Tim is a fantastic speaker and guy. But so what you're touching on, Pat, I think is interesting because you're touching on your passion, right? So your passion has always been getting the goods in the woods and going out and playing. David's passion is business building, right? Empire building. That's the game that he's playing. And again, I think for each of us, if we can really figure out our passion, our big why, we can accomplish it. And don't get sidetracked along the way. Your other passion, other than getting the goods in the woods, is making an impact, right? You want to change lives. You want to change people and teach them, educate them on, find out what you want to do and go out and attack that and do that. And again, you're doing that through One Life Fully Lived. So, and I want to talk about that. Before we get there, I have 2 questions. And the first question is, everybody listening is going, I wish I could live the life that Tim Rhode is living. I wish I could have enough passive income by age 40 that I can go out and explore my passion, whatever that may be. What would you say to those people who say, yeah, Tim, that's a great story, but I don't have any money to invest in a rental property?
Well, there's a lot of different things one can do if you think out of the box. As an example, I have people come to me all the time with investment opportunities. If something sticks out like a sore thumb, I'll take a look at it. So maybe you might have opportunities where you don't need money. You just find people to invest in your deal, or you could assign a deal to. There's one option. Another option is piggybacking or being a flea on somebody bigger back. I do a lot. Right now I invest in David Osborne's investments. There's a group where we buy apartment complexes, and people can invest in that. There's other investments that people do all the time where they may allow you to put a small investment, 5, 10, 20,000 into what they're doing and ride on their back. And I do this a lot with my friends and family, and maybe there's somebody that you can do this for. The most important thing early on is getting educated. 2 of the things I did when I first wanted to become an investor, I read books like Richest Man in Babylon, Wealthy Barber, Think and Grow Rich. I took the guy in my town who was who I wanted to be. His name was Johnny Vieira. Now he owns like 600 small units. He used to own about 150 at the time. And I took him out to breakfast, and asked him. So think out of the box. Even if you don't have money now, you're going to. And what can you do now? Start now.
Right. And I think it's all about going, hey, making, being deliberate about saying this is what I want to do and this is what I need to get there and go. And the other thing too is, there are online deals. I don't know if you have, certainly, I don't know how familiar you are, but there's a site called Realty Shares, which Realty Shares is, you can put as little as $1,000 into an investment property and they give decent returns, 10 to 12, sometimes 18% over, 12 months to 36 months. So I totally agree with you. All right. Let's talk about your passion, One Life Fully Lived. Give us the Reader's Digest view of that.
So One Life Fully Lived is a nonprofit, 501c3 nonprofit, where we help people dream, plan, and create their best life possible. We've been going at this for 6 years now. We have the One Life community on Facebook, number one Life community. We have a website, onelifefullylived.org. We have 2 conferences a year. We have one coming up in Sacramento, California on October 22nd and 23rd. And, Toby, I can make a special code for your listeners.
That'd be awesome.
Or a 30% off discount. So remind me and I'll get that to you.
Sure.
And our conferences are awesome. They have a lot of our GoBundance friends and over 50 presenters from all walks of life, living life at a mastery level. All things that we teach. Who am I? What's my dream? What's my plan? How am I going to fund it? How am I going to be healthy in my mind, body, and spirit to pull it off? That's what these conferences are centered on, and they're incredible. So if you can't make the one in Sacramento, October 22nd and 23rd, we'll have one next year in Philadelphia on June 3rd and 4th. We're also coming out right now. We're going to have our do-it-yourself course and our next our first class of the My One Life Roadmap. We call this the class you wish you had in school, and it's where we teach our One Life basics to the masses and help people figure out how to make their lives better. We got a lot of things we're really excited about in the future, but I don't want to take away from the 2 biggest things right now is come to one of our conferences and do our roadmap to master these life's basics I'm talking about.
Tim, here's what I like about what you're doing. There's when you go to conferences, you can go to, and this is I'm picking on Keller Williams, but their family reunion, right? So you go to family reunion, and what they will do, you're right. There's all these breakout sessions, and it's all mechanics, right? Here's what you do in a direct mail. Here's what you do with a pre-listing package. All mechanics, and then you can go to a different conference. And I don't. Have you ever been to World Domination Summit?
Actually, I have.
Yeah,
in Portland.
In Portland, right? So
yeah, but David and Pat.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. So, I've been to a few of those, and if you go to like a World Domination Summit, those are all feel good. Here's my mission to put glasses on needy children throughout the world or whatever. The problem, or what has been missing, I think, is the kind of conference where you mix in what you want to do, right? These big feel good things. With the mechanics. And I think that's what you guys have done pretty well. Is okay, well, what do you want to live? What's your passion? And here's a playbook. Here's how you can actually do that. How, in terms of been doing it for 6 years, what was the inspiration for you to say, hey, look, I want to, because look, putting on a conference is scary. I've been wanting to do one. I mean, I certainly have enough listeners to do it. I haven't done it. What was the inspiration for you to say, hey, this is what I want to do, and I'm going to do it through conferences?
Well, we have a lot of friends, like my GoBundance friends, who are living at a mastery level in a lot of different areas, and I have a lot of lady friends, same kind of thing. And I also have a lot of friends who are kind of downtrodden and having a tough time. So I decided 6 years ago, hey, why not Just try it. And I did it in my little town of 2,000 people. We had 92 people there, the first one. And we've just grown it slowly, organically. We'll have over 300 people in Sacramento, people from all walks of life. We give away 50 scholarships to the underserved. And it's really cool. It's a very unique conference when you have the person you just watched give a keynote speech who interviewed Madeleine Albright and Colin Powell and was just on NPR about dominating your category. And I'm talking about Chris Lochhead, who's a legend in Silicon Valley. And Chris is going to be keynotes one session, and the next session he may be sitting next to you in a breakout or having lunch with you. We have total immersion. And Chris, not only he usually gets $10,000 per speech, he pays $1,000 to come speak here.
Wow.
So that's why we're able to offer this incredible conference. I've been told it should cost, what's world domination, $1,000? I've been told this should cost $1,000, $1,500. It's $150, and if we do the 30% off, it's $120 for 2 full days.
Yeah, but
it's just incredible.
But the people, again, I think the people that you're trying to reach are those people who are, you're not in the crowd, right? Are not necessarily people like me, right? Who have a net worth of $3 million. And I think that your typical person is somebody who is just starting a business, or they've been a mom there for the last 20 years and they're breaking in. Is that correct in terms of the demo that actually attends?
What's really interesting is our presenters. Some of them, are worth $3 million. Some a little less. Some a little more. Some are crushing it in other areas. We have a leading expert on mindfulness there. We have one of the leading experts on fitness. Just all walks of life. Last year, I got paid one of the best compliments ever. I had a lady. She was going to be doing a keynote speak and 2 breakout sessions. She asked me, Tim, please take me off one of those breakouts. I want to go to the other sessions. Last year when I came to yours, I felt like I was speaking too much and I missed out on too much. So there's really, really good sessions there for people at all levels of mastery.
Well, hold on. I know that you have world-class presenters. I know that, but I'm talking about the people who are sitting in the audience. What's the typical profile of these people?
That's what's tough to it's tough to pigeonhole them because they're at all walks of life and all areas of mastery of their life.
Okay.
As I said, we'll give away some scholarships to people who are just starting out and are going to be like, whoa, this is I have no idea what's going on here. And this is also an event for families.
You said that. You encouraged me to bring my kids to the conference.
Yeah, we have sessions for kids. We have sessions for, I had an 85-year-old man right now this 5-year vision plan last year. So we have for all ages and for all walks of life. We're absolutely inclusive. And 3 things I want people to know. 1, we're not affiliated with any political affiliation, and if we were, I wouldn't claim it today.
Sure.
B, we're not affiliated with any organized religion. We have sessions on spirituality, but we're definitely neutral in that area. And C, we have people from all financial, just starting out to really rocking it. So we're very, very inclusive, and we our avatar is a 32-year-old lady who's kind of middle class. To answer your earlier question, Okay. So, but we have a mastery level and just starting out level, and we literally have there's sessions there on advanced investing as an example that you'd love, Toby.
Okay. Yeah. No. I'm thinking about going. I don't know if I'll bring the kids, but very interesting that even you have a conference that serves all age groups. Look, I wanted to bring you on to share your story, to tell the audience about this conference because, the people that I know, it's amazing, right? I know people that have gone that I'm like, oh, really? You went? Like, what'd you get out of it? And they're like, it was like, I got a lot out of it. What is there, okay, your avatar is a 32-year-old old woman. Is there an example that you can share in terms of somebody who went to the conference, they learned something, and then their lives were completely different 12 months later?
Yeah, I could spend the next hour giving examples, but let me give you a low end and a higher. Okay.
Yep.
The low end is a friend who came to their first conference 3 years ago. Candidly, they were just getting off drugs and lost. And that person now is rocking their life. They're a life coach, teaching other people who are really having a tough time how to make a great life for themselves. And they're rocking their world. That was one. Another one was a young man that came to our conference, and he was in college at the time, and he got so inspired by some of the other entrepreneurs there that he went back and asked his folks that told his folks, I'm going to quit college for 1 year, and if I'm not doing good a year from now, I'll go back. But just give me 1 year. That young person, he's 20, he owns 2 rental properties, he's involved in like 4 businesses, and he'll probably make a couple $100,000 this year, and it's just crushing it. And he's one of the faces of our community. And I could go on with different stories like that. But what we create, we're almost like a counterculture. We teach people how to work it. How can you make a great life for yourself without incurring a lot of debt and without working for the man? That's what we're all about.
And I'll tell you a story of one of my listeners. So I'll say the name because I don't think you'll care. But so I had a listener a couple years ago that listened to the show, and we talked about Go Abundance, and he ended up going to one of the events. And then he got involved, and this guy is like an immigrant guy. He had a speech impediment, but 2 years later, and I'm talking about Diego Corzo. 2 years later, Diego. I mean, how many houses does Diego own now?
Well, first of all, it's funny you should mention Diego because the second person I was talking about is Diego's little brother Gonzalo, who came to One Life the year after Diego did because he saw how well Diego's doing. Diego at the time, this was 3 years ago, he worked for General Motors. He was illegal immigrant.
Yep.
And his parents came here. So technically, he can own real estate in the United States. Who the hell's going to tell Diego that?
Right.
He just bought his 6th property. He quit working for GM last year. He now sells real estate for Keller Williams, and he'll make somewhere between 100 and 200 grand, or 150 and 200 grand this year. And Diego and Gonzalo are 2 great examples. And the reason, 2 things happen. One, they meet the people in our communities between One Life and Go Abundance. And 2, they take action. And that's what One Life's all about. And if you look back at my story, that's what my story was all about, was taking action, getting the education. You heard me say I spent $100,000 plus on my continuing education. One Life Fully Lived conferences are the kind of things I went to. And you meet these contacts. You'll meet Diego and Gonzalo will both be there in Sacramento. They're both presenting there. You meet people like that who are doing it for themselves, and you can't help be inspired by a whole community that's just focused on who am I? What's my dream? What's my plan? How am I going to fund it? How am I going to be healthy enough in my mind, body, and spirit to pull all this off? And that's what we're all about.
Yeah, and look, and here's the point that I wanted to make is Jim Rohn. It's a very important, it's a quote that everybody knows, but I'll say it anyway. So Jim Rohn says, "You're the average of the 4 people you hang out with, right? You're the average income, average everything, right? Average wealth. The 4. So if somebody wants to level up in their life, what do? You get better friends. And Diego is such a great example of that, right? So Diego was number 1, right? Like he was listening to my show and he's like, oh, I bet I need to level up. So then. And I think I maybe made the introduction to Osborne or whatever. And in fact, my first event was Diego's first event. So now all of a sudden Diego, and in that room, right, at that first event, we had we had Osborne, we had Rob Eigner, right? There was a lot of money in that room. And all of a sudden, Diego leveled up, and it took him all of 18 months. And now this immigrant with a speech impediment owns 6 homes. It's insane. So And I tell that story because, if you are out, and again, I'm endorsing your conference, and I want everybody to go for $100 in Sacramento. Why not? Or $120. But if you guys want to level up, and I'm talking to you listeners, reach out, right? Go, take a chance on yourself, right? Bet on yourself, invest in yourself, go to a conference, and there's highly doubt that you'll look back and go, hey, that was a waste of $120. Yeah. So anyhow, where can people find out about the conference, or if they want to they have a few questions, Tim, where can people reach out and find you?
First of all, I've never had one person ever tell me they were sorry they came to this. Not one. And that's how we've had thousands come now. So you can get information on the conference at onelifefullylive.org. That's the number one, onelifefullylive.org. And if you want to reach out to me personally with any questions, please feel free. I'm at tim@timrhode.com. Rhode is spelled R-H-O-D-E. tim@timrhode.com.
And the page, whatever. If you don't feel like reaching out to Tim, but you do want to go to the conference, I'll have the 30% off landing page or code or whatever on the show notes. So call Tim or go to superagentslive.com and look for Tim Rhode, R-H-O-D-E. Hey Tim, is there any last thing you want to share, or are we good to sign off?
I just want to say one thing. Before you go, I would like you to take 5 minutes at the end of this call and just walk outside and just start thinking to yourself, am I living the life I'm put on this earth to live? And really ask yourself that question. And if the answer is anything less than hell yes, come to our conference.
There you go.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for having me on.
You got it, buddy.
I really appreciate it.
Talk to you soon.
All right. Bye, guys.